They're different cases, really. Um, yes, they're both off balance sheet. They both are using public money. Um, but the State Investment Bank is really, and I suppose they both share this idea that investments, they're investment centred and vehicles for delivering investment. So I think in that sense, they're both kind of, that's a good model. Um, I suppose the Irish water has ended up with a real mix of many of the worst kind of features that we might expect, with a mix of kind of the worst elements of the private sector, and at the same time, generating extra additional public charges without any guarantee that you will get really good public infrastructure at the end. The State Investment Bank is actually working a different way, which is it's really a vehicle for drawing in private funds over time. It has the capacity now, because of the involvement of the German Investment Bank, to raise money cheaply through the German Investment Bank and then to lend it on at a relatively good rate in Ireland. So there is, there's a risk there in terms of there's always some liability, and it's a state bank. And I suppose if things went disastrously wrong, then you would be looking at costs falling on the state. On the other hand, I don't think that's what's really envisaged with this bank. What's envisaged is really making kind of long-term investments where there's risk. It's risk that comes from really long-run kind of investments in, maybe it'd be solar power or something like that, which would actually generate, even if it didn't pay back into the bank itself, it would generate a huge kind of social dividend. So that would probably enhance. Let's take the example of solar power. You might lose money through the investment bank, but you might gain money back for the state through savings on energy infrastructure and so on. Well, first of all, I think it will be, if we had the ICC or the ACC in place, I suppose particularly, well, both really, we probably would have done the State Investment Bank a little differently, because we would have been able to use the ICC to do some of the things we want to do. And I think it was a huge mistake to get rid of the ICC for no real apparent reason. And I know the NESC has made that point lately also. I think there's a couple of things that are different here. One is the capacity, it's linked into the NTMA and into the German Investment Bank. So there's a capacity to raise funds over the long term through government credit rating, which is, that's a kind of a new capacity, which is important. There's a direct lending role, which is quite like the ICC. But then there's also this interesting, possibly troubling, but dimension of lending to the retail banks, including AIB and Bank of Ireland and so on, and letting them then do the lending to business. The bad side of that is if you just let them off and do whatever they did before, are you just going to be making more bad loans to developers at the end of the day, 10 years from now? I think if you take that as an opportunity to actually transform the ability of the bank and the culture of the banks and their capacity to do proper business lending across a wide range of sectors to different kinds of companies, innovation companies, long-term companies get a long-term return, cooperatives, all the rest of it. Then you have the chance with this to actually transform the private banking sector as well. Actually, I think the investment centre partnership is really crucial to the workers' rights and equality. So in any social partnership, in a sense, what workers always give is some level of, they don't give up wage rises, but they give up a kind of unrestrained, wage bargaining system. They say, well, we'll get wage increases over you know, 10-year period, and it'll be steady over those 10-year periods, rather than, you know, I'm taking every cent I get now because I don't know what'll happen next year. So by having a deal at some point, you're enabling that to happen. So then the question is, what do you get back for that? And in the past, we got tax cuts, and that was okay when it started because tax rates were extremely high. But by the end of the 1990s, I think it ran way too far. So now you're looking at really getting back. What I'm proposing is, for workers, you're getting back public services. So actually, I think the two things go together in the sense that it's kind of a carrot and stick. If you take away these kinds of possibilities for 0 hours or these kinds of, you know, bad labor practices, it pushes employers into looking for investments. You know, okay, I can't treat these workers badly, so I actually need to go with a high productivity strategy. So I want training, I want, you know, to deal with these problems of transport or childcare and so on, maternity leave and so on, to hold on to my, you know, I've put all this money into training, I don't want to lose this person. I want proper maternity and parental leave and so on. So I think there is a virtuous circle there that we can get to. Just the trick is starting that process.